Previously on Reading Between the Lines with Tandaman.
Leadership and people in charge of like governance tend to be older and not very tech savvy. And, there's all these famous clips of legislators in the United States of America, asking tech CEOs, like, how do I fix my iPhone? And it's just kind of sad. It's like, okay, this is not who we should be trusting to work on these issues. We need people who actually understand it. People like myself who are middle class or more, right? I guess middle class can say, oh no, I want to keep my own data and hold it close. And people who are not middle class, who are struggling, working class, whatever term you want to use, will sell their data. It's like privilege talking, right? People who think money is evil have never had a welfare Christmas. Again, if you are like the head of the World Economic Forum, that's a position that confers a ton of privilege. And so it's very easy to sort of say like, oh, let's own nothing and be as one. And it's like, right, there was always the moment where everyone all of a sudden had a smartphone, everyone all of a sudden had a laptop, everyone all of a sudden had this. And it was because it became harder to live your life without one than with one, right? And so we're going to hit that point in the metaverse, and I'd say the relatively near future, where it becomes harder to not be in the metaverse than to be in the metaverse. The future is a mix. So the Quest Pro is both. So you can switch between VR and AR. You can be in AR mode, you can be in VR mode, you can go back and forth very easily. So yeah, it's that. It's, the fully closed off headsets, I think we've hit a ceiling with those because people want to be able to switch back and forth. The AR headsets or the AR glasses might have more sort of consumer adoption more quickly, because those, at the end of the day, there's more experiences for them and they are more useful. But I think a mixed reality headset is where we're going to wind up. It's like so many clothing brands just are so unimaginative. They're like, we built a store in the metaverse. You can buy our clothes in the metaverse. And I was like, okay, why? For what purpose? I know people who feel intimately connected to like TV characters and TV shows.
All right, welcome to the first in-person interview that we have with Z5 today. I have with me Mr. Kishore, who's the CTO of Z5. It's a great honor to have you with us, Mr. Kishore, here.
Hi, Tanmay.
Absolutely.
Likewise, I am also excited to be on your show.
Absolutely. So Z5, for a lot of viewers that don't know what Z5 is, it's a OTT platform, something like Netflix or Amazon Prime.
Exactly.
And we're based out of India. There's a lot of great Bollywood content if you are Bollywood fans. So that is definitely there. But why don't you give us a brief introduction of how Z5 started, anything you want to let us know about Z5?
So Z5 started 5 years back. Actually, we finished our anniversary on Feb 14th. Mm-hmm. So we started on Valentine's Day, right? And so just to give you a quick background, Z is one of the largest broadcasters in India, right? And Z was one of the pioneers on the broadcasting front. Similarly, on the OTT front also, they started with a few other iterations with Ditto and OZ. And then I think finally, the third iteration was with Z5, right? Mm-hmm. And Z5 was launched from day one internationally, right? So today we are there in about 180 plus countries, while India still dominates us from a viewership and usage perspective. We are available in 180 countries. We have very huge audiences in US, in the MENA region, in UK, Australia, etc., right? So in India, I think we are in the top maybe 2-3 streamers, right? And we get a lot of content coming in from our mainstream television channels. We have Before TV, we have Catch Up TV, we have our own original contents that we ourselves produce. We have movies coming in from Z Studios, Z5 also has music. We have live TV on it. We have news broadcast. So while I'm saying like we're not as big as Netflix, we are a significantly more complicated offering. So from day one, we have been both subscription and advertisement supported. We have live content, right? And recently in January, we added sports on Z5. Our first sporting event happened which is the International League T20 in Dubai, right? And the finals got over only a week back.
That's cricket for the people that don't know.
Yeah. So this year we will add other sporting titles also beyond cricket, but obviously being in India, cricket is very important, right? So that's where we are. And I joined Z in 2021, towards the end of 2021. This was under the leadership of Puneet Goenka, our CEO. He had this vision of building a tech center in Bangalore. So he got it built under Nitin Mintal, who heads this tech center. And I joined his team, right? And the whole vision was to kind of transform Z into a media tech kind of company, right? That's the vision of this tech center, right? So other than supporting the OTT platform and other Z businesses from a technology perspective, we also have an innovation charter where we look at things beyond media currently, right? Which is where the Metaverse and NFT, all of those come in play.
Absolutely. And so, keeping Z5 aside, why don't you give us a brief introduction about yourself? How does Kishore end up at Z5 as the CTO in 2021? What life experiences have led you to this point that you're heading Z5 as the CTO?
So very, very interesting question. So actually in 2005, I joined a startup which was a Bay Area based startup with an office with their tech center in India, right? And I was an early employee in their India center. We were building mobile TV technology then, right? And this was even before, this predates 3G also.
Right.
So there were these standards that were coming up called for handheld devices called DVB-H, TDMB, etc. And we were building a full solution which included the ASIC, the firmware, the device driver, the video playing stack, everything end to end, right? So I was part of the startup and we got acquired by another US company and we did take those products to market, right? But then the standards themselves did not take off to an extent we would have liked, right? So, and then subsequently I started my own venture in 2008. It was also in the online video space, right? And even before the term OTT was coined, right? So we ran it from 2008 to 2014. It was funded by Intel Capital. We had a video discovery app called Shuffler. This was based in Bay Area. We had about 5 million plus active users those days, right? And this got acqui-hired by Tribune, right? And after that, I joined a company funded by Axel and JP Morgan in the television advertising space, right? Called Shorewaves. I was CTO, headed product management and technology over there. And post that, I was with InMobi, where I headed engineering for marketing cloud, right? So in general, I have worked a lot on the mobile TV, the OTT, in fact, in my own startup, which we ran between 2008 and 2014, where we were solving discovery, we took up the Netflix challenge. I had about 8 IPs on recommendation algorithms and discovery, etc. Right? So, to some extent, there was something in me which still wanted to get back. And when this opportunity with Z5 came back, I felt excited, and the whole OTT in India had also taken off in a big way, right? And world over, obviously. So I thought it was an interesting time to get back to OTT.
Absolutely. The other thing that I would ask you is, what motivates Mr. Kishore every morning to get up and create amazing technologies, amazing content for the viewers, create amazing paradigm shifts, if I can call it that, within the entertainment business?
So see, we are at a very interesting time, right, where the linear TV is in between a transition towards OTT or a digital delivery kind of thing, right? And linear TV is still dominant and is still, I'm saying, for our company and for a lot of companies all over the world, generating a lot of revenue, right? But then we are in the transition period, and which leads to a lot of innovation happening in the space, right? And I'm saying like we have companies which are ahead in the curve like Netflix, Amazon Prime, right? And so I'm saying we have some catching up in terms of technology to do in some places, but in the last 1 year that I have been here, actually we have caught up quite a bit. In fact, our app ratings when I joined were around 3, and now we are the top rated app in India, right? So both on iOS and Android, right? We rewrote all our apps, we rewrote all our connected TV apps. See, one of the interesting things about the OTT space is also that when you look at e-commerce, you just have web, Android and iOS, right? Whereas when you come to OTT, after that you have the whole living room ecosystem where you have Apple TV, Fire Stick, Android TV, Roku, right? And then you have your integrations into the B2B partners, right? Like set-top box integrations, and these are international, in India, all of those, right? So I'm just saying it's a significantly more challenging prospect from a front-end perspective. The second thing is that when you look at the delivery also, video needs to be delivered very continuously. Any kind of network disruption, etc., leads to a bad customer experience, right? So the challenges are significantly higher, and then there are challenges around content piracy, data security, right? Where we need to deliver DRM, and once you turn on DRM and you turn on some of this content security, it stops working on certain customer devices, right? So we have a lot of such challenges to solve. The other thing very unique for us is that compared to the West, India has a very different kind of audience. So majority of our audience consumes our content on mobile, right? Yeah. And in that also Z has a significantly more audience on in the Hindi heartland and in the regional India side, where the kind of devices they consume are slightly better than feature phone kind of thing. So from a hardware perspective, it's a significantly larger challenge for us, right? So there are unique challenges which we face in Z, which no other OTT player in India also faces, right? So I'm just saying, when we get on customer calls, we find very interesting problems that they go through, right? And like, for example, just to give you an example, right? Like say between the portrait mode and the landscape mode, right? A lot of our users consume it in portrait mode, and we just could not make out why they would consume video. And the reason was that a lot of them are consuming the content while at work, right? And for example, there is a sari salesman sitting in a shop. His owner is okay that the shop owner is okay if he uses the phone to maybe chat, etc., but he's not okay if he watches movies, right? So he's in the portrait mode watching a movie while so I'm saying, like, or a security guard, right? Somewhere he's consuming content in a portrait mode kind of thing, and people don't find it okay that he starts watching movie, etc., right? So a lot of such scenarios, so we had to kind of do things for that. Then there were phones on which there was no stereo supported. Because of that, our audio was very low, right? So we had to kind of also add transcoding for mono. There are devices on which, while 4K supported, advanced audio formats are not supported. So a lot of very India specific challenges that come up, and I'm saying these are very interesting problems for us to solve, right? So that, and also the scale is extremely high, right? So I'm saying the concurrency we see on a daily basis itself is significantly larger than most e-commerce platforms find in this country, right? And also, like I said, when we reach our concurrency, it's about continuous video delivery, right? So it's a significantly more challenging problem. So all of these technical challenges, customer problems, etc., and our own unique ways to solve them, that's what keeps me excited.
Yep, absolutely. So as you sort of deal with all these different languages, right? And India technically has more than 800 languages. But as you deal with a lot of different languages in India, and there is an analogy that India is one European Union put into one country, right?
Exactly.
How do you at Z5 deal with such issues when you're not only getting more content, but say if you're dealing with non-Indian people, if you're talking to, say, metaverses such as Sandbox or Decentraland or Upland, how do you tell them, what do you even do? How do you target these different audiences? Because culture changes, the food changes, the likes, the dislikes changes, right? Every 100 kilometers you go in India. So how do you deal with that?
So see, okay, so one thing is that Z has always been proud about being a very Indian kind of thing in its ethos, right? And we support a lot of Indian regional channels, languages. In fact, we have channels in many Indian regional languages, right? So we have a lot of regional content like that. So now, as we are putting together our strategy to take this content globally, right? Obvious things are about, like, say, putting dubbing, putting closed captioning, etc., right? So those are something which we already do and we already support. But then we are looking at bringing technology into this, right? Where we're looking at concepts of deep fake dubbing, right? Or we are looking at, like, other than just dubbing, how do we get the lip sync also, right? So where can we use AI and ML techniques to kind of dub? So these are all part of our innovation charter where we are experimenting, right? So they needs to be done at a more professional grade, because and also we are looking at how we can do that in a way where it doesn't take away jobs, right? So we're trying to balance out of that, and there are a lot of other issues also. But what I'm trying to say is that there is a way in which we solve it today. We are also looking at applications of technology to do it better. And I'm saying, in general, Bollywood itself has a lot of fan following outside of India also, right? So our CEO, when he was giving us the mandate, he told very clearly that he doesn't want us to limit ourselves to the Indian diaspora outside India, right? It's very clear that he wants to look at taking on the world, but maybe take this kind of content to the world, right? Like maybe on the lines of how the Korean content has become proliferated other markets, etc. How do we kind of do that kind of a break? So obviously there is the creative aspect of that. There also, by the way, we are looking at how we can use content analytics to find out and look at audience analytics, etc., to understand what is it that's resonating with the audience, what do you call, parts of the content which are more catchy, etc. While coming to the delivery also, we are looking at how we can bring in AI, ML, etc., to make it more richer from a language perspective.
On a lighter note, are you using ChatGPT yet?
So I'm just saying, in an organic sense, a lot of people within our content and technology center have started using it, not like I'm saying like an official mandated thing, but then we are in very deep discussions with Microsoft to start engaging with them at an enterprise level, right? We similarly are looking at other big tech also, because they also have competing offerings, etc., right? We are looking at how some of these large language models, etc., can influence the entire content supply chain, right? From content creation to even maybe when it comes to a lot of other aspects of our delivery, like say customer support and all those places, we believe will get influenced by that.
Absolutely. I know you don't handle content creation directly.
Yes.
But do you think it could ever be the scenario where ChatGPT actually writes the script of the content that you're creating?
See, at this point, our view is that we would like it to start assisting how we do. It will empower our content generation, right? See, for example, content generation is a very laborious process, right? So the script generation, the retakes, and I'm saying like all of those. So we believe in using the application of technology to kind of build a platform for our content creators to kind of do it more efficiently, quickly. See, I'm just saying there is so if you look at the whole creator economy, right? I'm saying for companies like us, it is the individual creators like you who are disrupting the economy, right? What I'm trying to say is that somebody with a video camera in a garage, or I'm saying, is making content and is getting the user's attention. And especially if in our case, most of our customers are consuming it on the mobile. So our competition is no longer another OTT provider. It's anybody on the mobile phone. It's a YouTube app, it's your chat app, all of those, right? So what I'm saying is that we need to make our content supply chain. By the way, Z is running an extremely efficient content supply chain operations, right? And we take a lot of pride in that. But I'm saying we need to kind of further innovate on that front and open it up further, right? So, and on those fronts, we believe there will be a significant play these large language models, AI, ML will play, right? And I'm sure at some point there will be an entire movie. I don't know which company will do that, but that will be based on AI driven script. But we don't see that happening at ours, maybe in the near future, but never know what happens in some time, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We can always go on and on talking about what the future of technology will hold. But let me bring us back to the point, which is Metaverse, right?
Yeah.
And Z's collaboration within the Metaverse. How is Z looking at Metaverse, NFT, Web3, the new technologies? How are you looking at that?
Like I said, one of the charters for this entire tech center that we have built in Bangalore is the innovation charter, right? And under the innovation charter, like I said, compared to other like e-commerce kind of service, we need to not just deliver on these three main platforms, we need to deliver on all these television platforms, CTV platforms, set-top boxes, etc. Right? So now, the way we look at Metaverse is where we are this is the evolution of the web, where the we go beyond the screen kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Where it's not just that you experience it sitting outside, you become part of the experience. So it's this more immersive iteration of the web, which is Web3, right? And definitely media companies need to kind of be significantly invested in how we do, and obviously Z also, we are quite invested on that front, right? What we are doing is that we are looking at the entire content supply chain and our production and delivery, and see some of these things need to can be addressed at various levels. So for example, there can be a scenario where the environment in which we consume is the metaverse, but the content we consume can still be like a sports content or a movie, right? Where and I'm saying post-pandemic people are looking for these kind of interactions, etc. Right? Where so for example, if we recreate a digital twin of a stadium, right? And we start selling tickets for that, while we host that, the content is available to watch on say our Z5 app, say like a social viewing kind of experience can happen, where people with their own avatars or t-shirts and things like that can watch it in a metaverse type experience. In this case, this is somewhat easier for us to deliver, and capabilities which we already have, right? We are experimenting with it, where the content will still be the older content or the older formats of content, but the experience of viewing goes into the metaverse, right? The next thing is where the app experience itself, what we have, can we kind of look at a metaverse based experience, especially when we look at say brand promotions or commerce and things like that, right? Like how do we kind of bring these elements into that, right? The other thing which we are looking at it is, like say we own immense, so from the company's been around for over 30 plus years, right? So we have a huge content archive, both movies, TV shows, etc. Right? We own rights to the likes of Mr. India or Antakshari, right? These are all great Indian brands, right? So now, is there a way for us to kind of go back onto that IPs we own and kind of see how we can bring metaverse elements and bring that into this world, right? So by looking at avatars, NFTs and things like that, right? So that is something also which we are experimenting with. So now, so at this point we have built out capabilities, right? The killer use cases is what we are kind of exploring, right? So now, once we have one of those use cases which is ready to be taken out, we have buying from the business, we will then start launching it kind of thing. But from a capability wise, like say getting our developers up on Unity or Unreal, all of those things are happening already, right? Absolutely. And like I said, there are various ways in which we can look at it, right? Like how do we kind of bring various experiences into this and things like that. So the other thing is also on the delivery, right? Like say if we focus only on the VR devices, right, then that market itself is reasonably small. In India is even smaller, right? So then it becomes a very niche kind of thing which we will do. But if we can deliver it through our living room or mobile experience, then obviously immediately the user base is larger, but then what is that experience we can deliver? Does it make sense from our customer perspective? So those are the things we are looking at, right? So clearly we are invested. We believe we need to be in the forefront, and whenever it kind of goes mainstream, us being in a driving seat on that. But then, like I said, we are still exploring those killer use cases with which we will start our journey on that.
Absolutely. Right. Let me ask a very selfish question that I'm sure a lot of cinema owners will really dislike this question. But do you think in the future, as technology evolves, as Metaverse evolves, as a platform, there is a capability to cut off the middleman and launch new movies that perhaps launch in cinemas, in physical world, to now only be launched directly to the digital world, and people can buy a ticket, go to a digital screen hall where the movie is running live. You can't pause it. It's running live, but you go live there, and you can maybe tie up with Zomato or Swiggy and get popcorn delivered to people's houses and experience it that way. So do you think that is a possibility?
That's definitely a possibility. See, actually in OTT, like without the metaverse also, in OTT we have had, for example, in US, certain companies doing OTT launch first of a movie, right? And or doing same day launch with this thing. We have also launched one very high premium property, OTT along with the this thing, right? So now, see, it's all about the monetizability of the content, right? So for example, if we are able to build a strong monetization around this which challenges the other model, definitely it's going to happen, right? So I think until that happens, see, some of these digital formats of delivery also have the challenge of piracy around them. So what I'm trying to say is that we need to kind of balance out those angles, but definitely I'm saying in some time frame, I'm sure that's going to happen, right? And for example, I'm just saying, like, we already have a lot of our original content which we launch directly on the OTT platform, right? Those will immediately be available whenever we have our metaverse based experience. That will immediately be available on the metaverse experience also, right? So and I'm just saying, right, so now how well we are able to monetize those experiences will give our business teams, our content teams, etc., that extra leverage to now go and challenge, saying that, you know what, we want to first launch on this, or launch this alongside theaters also, right? So
absolutely,
then we can start exploring those use cases.
So how do you address the piracy concerns?
See, piracy, we look at it in a more holistic sense, right? So there is one aspect of protecting it on our platform, right, which we have invested quite a lot, and again, there are multiple types of piracy, right? There is inline piracy, there is content that they download and they make it available on other services. Sometimes people are making that content available through our CDNs, etc. So we have different strategies to address each of them, right? We also are working with other external agencies, etc., where if a certain content gets out, see, because a screen capture, etc., can happen, or there are certain devices that are DRM compromised and they're able to take it out for some reason, then we use third-party agencies to kind of get those avenues blocked so that they are not available on search engine results. Those servers are taken down. So we do takedowns. So like I said, it's a more 360-degree thing we do. And over the last 1.5 years, we have been able to significantly handle piracy better, right? Like in terms of how we make it very difficult for people to take it out, and also if something gets leaked through whatever means, then how do we kind of manage it once it's in the public domain, right? So on both fronts, we have done significantly well.
Absolutely.
But just to add on that, I think it's more an ecosystem problem also, right? And I think I have also talked to CTOs of other OTT platforms in India, etc., where I believe we should all come together as OTT services and try to start addressing this as an ecosystem thing, right? Where it becomes easier for us to kind of do it at an ecosystem level. Yeah.
Right. So as we look at Zverse, where is Zverse developing? Where do you see Zverse 5 years down the line?
So 5 years down the line, I think few of the things which you told, right? Like we would, like I said, we would be having entire OTT experience, right? The browsing, discovery, onboarding, all entire experience happening on Zverse, right?
Yeah.
And subsequently viewing experience happening over there. We are also looking at getting original VR AR content and make it available on our platforms, right? So which means that not just the browsing experience, but the consumption itself is a VR kind of mode, right? So and then something which we have started investing a lot on now is sports, right? And I think sports is also a place where AR VR can have very good thing. For example, I'm seeing AR applications in the stadium, right? And then a NFT which goes along with the ticket, and combining OTT and the stadium packages, right? And then linear TV. We want to see how we can kind of combine all of that, come up with compelling offerings which have AR components, which have NFT components in them, right? Like fan experience, right? Where previously, if somebody goes and watches a cricket match or a football match or a soccer match, we have no identity or any information about that thing. But I'm saying once we bring NFT into that, immediately you have an identity of that fan, right? And now how do you kind of start engaging that fan in from a league perspective, from a team perspective, from a player perspective, right? And how do we make it interesting for him from collectibles, right? Like an NFT along with certain utilities, where it gives him access to the fans access to certain special viewership options or early screening,
ownership options,
right? Ownership options also, right? So I'm just saying that it's going to be all of this, right? And like I said, in a more immersive format that will happen, right? So and I'm saying some of these will also be because of the kind of innovation that's happening on the device front, right? So as currently the VR devices are pretty large and some people get disoriented, etc. But I'm saying these are things which are already getting solved, right? And if they come down to a form factor which becomes more mainstream, right? And also I'm saying between AR and VR also, if we are able to kind of get better synergies. And I'm saying also content. See, if you look at the various brands, etc., right? While there have been some early engagements, but then within the brand itself, for example, are all their digital assets put together, especially VR type assets. So for example, if there's a car company, is there 3D models of the car, etc., available with the marketing that they can start using those models for running VR based campaigns, etc., right? So what I'm saying is, so somewhere that kind of supply chain related things are also there, where from a creator perspective, what is going to happen, from a brand perspective, what is going to happen, from a distribution platform like ours perspective, what will happen, and all of them coming together and providing the seamless, compelling experience, right? So definitely in 5 years, I'm sure it will be there. Whether it is going to happen in 2 years, 3 years, I don't know, right?
Absolutely. So as you look at Zverse, are you looking at it as an experience on Z that you experience, or is that somewhere you go into Sandbox or Upland or Decentraland that you walk in and you experience the Zverse?
At this point, the whole Zverse thought process is around building a unique experience for the ZFi consumption, right? And bring AR, VR and other traditional content formats into this experience, right? Integrating into other services is
other platforms.
Other platforms is something which we will look at. See, when we are looking at our NFTs, our avatars, our our own video IP, right? Which we have, for example, our own IP around content, etc. Right? All of those will be will have to coexist and work with other platforms also, right? Whereas Zverse will be another destination similar to an Upland or a Roblox, right? Where it will deliver a experience which is very customized for watching sports, or like a theater experience, or a watch party experience, or a home base experience, etc. Right? And we will be focusing more on the bringing more immersive audio, right? Video experience and things like that, right? Whereas if you look at the likes of Upland, Roblox, etc., they will be more focused on a more generalized play, right? Whereas we will be very focused on the audio video experience that we provide kind of play, right? Entertainment experience play, and we'll go more deeper on that. But then what will be interoperable is our, like I said, our IPs, our avatars, NFTs, all of them we are going to make it interoperable. Right? Yeah.
Absolutely. So one of the use cases of NFTs, and I think a lot of people in Bollywood have tried playing around with this, is how do you fund a project, a movie or a TV show, right? Some people have started giving NFTs as an instrument of future royalty payments, right? You give us money now, we use it to create the content, and all the royalties that come, they'll be distributed evenly based on the number of NFTs you own. So do you think that as a concept is going to take up more and more as we progress through years?
Definitely. See, I think the whole creator platform, creator economy thing which is happening is here to stay, right? And in these kind of economies, this more distributed ways of crowdsourcing and funding the creators' growth, etc., is going to happen, right? And as a company, we recognize that trend, and like I said, we are looking at ways in which we can also engage with this ecosystem, right? And not necessarily take a strategy that we will only have our own other ways of doing it, but we are looking at actively engaging with them, learn from it, and also see how we can also partake in that, right? Where can we also help independent creators such come onto our platform and then launch it on ZEE5, say, right? And becomes one of the mediums, like how they're looking at launching it on YouTube or whichever TikTok or wherever they're doing. They should also look at ours as a platform, and how is it that we can build some kind of a platformized way in which we can help them monetize better. Or for example, somebody has a script, can we bring in our content supply chain and help them fund it, or right? So we are looking at various ways in doing that. So I am a big believer in the model which you said, and I'm just saying I'm sure in times to come we'll see more and more of that.
Now that recently, within the last week, the CEO of YouTube has become an Indian person, should they be worried about what you've just said? Is ZEE5 going to compete with YouTube and let creators create content on ZEE5 as well?
So see, I don't think. By the way, even today we have a short form app called Hippie, right? Which has lot of short form content which consumers put up and celebrities put up, right? And which is kind of similar to YouTube Shorts, etc., right? But I think YouTube offers a very different kind of experience, right? So we are not looking at like that kind of a generalized play, right? So whatever we do, we'll have to kind of align into the general ethos of our platform and our strategy, right? So it may be around celebrities, or it may be around topics which we want to open up, right? And so it will be more structured, it will be more professional, semi-professional type, right? But it will not be more UGC type, right? So, and I'm just saying, right? So that's not a space which we are focused, and I'm saying YouTube is extremely strong on that, right? And I don't think I think YouTube may be more concerned with the likes of TikTok, right? And which, like I said, right, on consumption being predominantly on mobile, and the attention is something which everybody is going behind. That way we all are competing with each other, right? And at the heart of it, we are a content company, and we are looking to evolve into a media tech company, right? So
Absolutely. Well, that brings us to the end of the part 1 of this interview. We'll now move on to the part 2. All right, welcome back to the part 2 of this, which is my favorite section, which is rapid fire questions, as you all know. So let me ask you this question, Mr. Kishore. What, from your perspective, is going to create mass adoption of Metaverse in India, but also globally?
So I think the device ecosystem maturing to a point where the devices become significantly smaller form factor, and the costs coming down, right? Similar to what happened with the mobile kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think those two will lead to mass adoption, right? And maybe one more thing which may be needed over time is also like a Android-like platform which kind of becomes the more mainstream OS of sorts for this, right? Which is more open, and I'm saying the OEMs, etc., can start adapting and building on top of that.
Absolutely. So from where you're sitting, do you think the future of the metaverse will be built from big tech companies, or it will be small companies that are trying to do great work like Roblox? They're not small, but they're relatively not as mainstream as someone like Facebook, what now Meta has become, or a Google has become, right? So is it your Uplands or Sandbox and Decentralands and Roblox that build the future of the metaverse, or do you think it's Google and Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that?
See, I personally believe the future of metaverse will be built by creators,
Yeah.
right? And the innovation will also be driven by the creators, right? What they will do with their creativity to unlock whatever these platforms, which say a Meta or a Roblox, etc., are building, what they will do on top of that will actually drive what's going to happen on that, right? So I think all of these platforms will kind of occupy positions, and there will be a market share distribution amongst all of them, right? But largely it will be, I think the creators will drive, and I think the consumers will follow the creators, right? And then I think the brands will follow the consumers, right? So that's what I think will happen.
Absolutely. Also, as you're looking at Zverse, right? Potentially, you have clients from outside India and European Union and India and other countries, right? How do you navigate through GDPR in this scenario where you have someone probably in India and then you have a European Union citizen, especially in a metaverse setting? How do you deal with that?
So see, we have been GDPR compliant, right? So because like I said, we operate in 180 plus countries, and when we launched in Europe, we launched with the compliance in place, right? And what I'm saying is, from a user data management perspective, I feel it will be the same for both OTT and metaverse. So say, given our experience in managing it on OTT, I don't see much of an issue with the.
So if I'm sorry to cut you off, but so if we're looking at Zverse, then it is one-sided metaverse experience, or can two people who are watching the same content on Z5 interact with each other? Because if they can then do that, then you may potentially have one person who's in India, one person who's in Europe,
Yes.
and then how do you deal with that GDPR, right? Because potentially the person in India, the Indian government will want that data on Indian servers. The person in European Union, the government of EU may want it on European servers.
Yes.
So how do you deal with that scenario in terms of GDPR?
So see, like, so like you said, we are in the process of solving this for our watch party.
Right.
And when I'm just saying, what I was trying to say is that these are problems we are solving for the OTT use case,
Yeah.
and we will use the same for metaverse also, right?
Okay.
So, and now I'm saying when we are solving it for watch party, the same implementation will go for the metaverse also. Like, if there is certain things on IP, or like say, for example, if we are going to open it up for general public to come and participate, then obviously there will be different restrictions and legalities involved, right? So I think we'll have to kind of address them better, right?
Absolutely.
If we are going to make it a little more smaller group kind of thing, maybe it will be easier to handle, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you create Zverse, is it only for content, or do you assume there will also be e-commerce in the Zverse where people can buy and sell products within
Definitely there is going to be e-commerce within Zverse. In fact,
what brings this e-commerce to Zverse?
So we acquired a company called Charmboard a few years back. That was to bring e-commerce to our OTT platform, right? And we are in the process of operationalizing that and making it available. So we are working with the ONDC, which is making commerce a more open system, right? And we are also working with e-commerce providers, etc., to how to kind of figure out the best way to bridge video and commerce. Right?
Yeah.
So that is happening as we speak. And if once we do that, right, like say currently we are looking at how we convert those shoppable moments into commerce. Whereas I'm saying the natural extension of that will be once we have our commerce, right? Metaverse, to how to kind of extend in that. And in fact it will be even better in the metaverse in my view, because like if you want to kind of like your avatar to put that dress or a particular brand to kind of get into your environment and start influencing you, right? I feel it provides better opportunities than what is available currently.
Absolutely. As we're sitting in 2023, early 2023, next year is a major year. We have two major elections, India's general election and US's general election. As you're looking at Metaverse, we all know that President Trump used Facebook and the technology behind Facebook to gain an advantage. Do you think as elections happen next year, smart politicians are going to use Metaverse to gain an advantage to reach out to a wider audience? And do you think that impacts the ecosystem as a whole?
So I think they should. I think even before they used to do, there were certain formats where a leader would give a speech and the holograms would be visible, right? Yeah. Which I think even in the previous elections we have seen some bits of that happening, right? And I would say a natural extension of that would be where we kind of make it more immersive for the the voter to get a more realistic immersive feel of their leader speaking, right? Yeah. So I think it's definitely an opportunity, and given how progressive India has been, I feel we may see some elements of metaverse in the coming election.
Absolutely. Yeah. Talking about governance, as we sit here today, Israel has a Metaverse minister. UAE has a Metaverse ministry as well as a Metaverse minister. Do you think our Indian government should also have a Metaverse minister?
I think, like I said, once some of these killer use cases in India start going mainstream, automatically that will happen, right? At this point, I think the government is waking up to crypto, right? And to some extent through that to NFT, right? But from a governance perspective, right? But I think Metaverse at this point has not yet gotten to that kind of a thing where it comes under their ambit. Obviously, like you said, Israel, etc., are more invested from a technology, and also being a smaller country, I'm saying the way they look at these upcoming technologies is different. But maybe in a while, right? Yeah, sure.
Absolutely. What's the budget that Z5 is investing in Metaverse? Or any usage numbers that you would like to share for Metaverse?
We have not yet launched Metaverse,
okay,
right? So, see, I'll tell you, by the way, so we have not yet launched. When we launch also, one of the things is that currently the engines run on the cloud.
Yeah.
Right? So, I'm just saying, so like for example, if I'm going to host 10,000 people, I need to have so many sandboxes, etc. ready.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like you said, that 300 or whatever, right? Like you have to operate like that. One, maybe because of that exclusivity.
Yeah.
One more, because currently the technologies are not like seamless scaling type. So for example, on my video viewing platform, as long as the CDNs can deliver, I can keep scaling, right?
Absolutely.
But on Metaverse, because I have these compute resources, GPUs, etc., that I have to put, we provision and keep kind of thing, right? So, no, what I meant is that those will drive the numbers and things like that, right? So, at this point, we don't have much numbers to share, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Mr. Ashok, let me ask you this question. As we see all over the world with this cost of living crisis, with the whole recession that is looming, a lot of people don't want to work anywhere, right? There's a lot of worker shortage globally, not only in India, all over the world. How are you managing talent, and is there any issues that you are facing, or anything that you're happy or motivated about in terms of talent that is working for the Metaverse or for Z5 or related concepts?
Yeah, so actually see, last year when we were hiring for the tech center, we had a lot of challenges on the hiring front, right? But as we kind of built our base team through referrals, through marketing campaigns, etc., the word spread out, and we posts that have been fairly successful in hiring and attracting the talent, right? One of the challenges we had was that because we all came together during the pandemic, that kind of bonding within the team took some time. So I think early last year we started pushing teams to come back to office and spend at least a few days in office, right? And recently this year we are trying to push the entire team to relocate back to Bangalore, and then spend a few days definitely in the office kind of thing, just to kind of improve that kind of team bonding and collaboration and things like that, right? So from a skill set perspective, it's been quite challenging on certain fronts, like definitely on the people who understand metaverse, NFT, right? And those kind of skill sets are hard to find, right? So people with gaming background who have proficiency in Unity, Unreal 3D, etc. We are looking to hire those developers, right, as we build out our metaverse platforms.
Absolutely. So, Mr. Kishore, let me ask you this question. Recently, we all know that Z onboarded a lot of new hires using the Metaverse technology, right? Using the VR technology. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so this was the time when the pandemic was still rampant, and so sometime mid last year. And so we were working off the office, but then not everyone was coming every day, and like I said, it was very difficult for us to build bonds and things like that. So what we thought is we had been working on the metaverse, and how do we kind of use this medium to do a better experience, employee onboarding experience for our new freshers, right? So what we did, we collaborated and worked along with Accenture and Microsoft, and came up with this, built out this employee onboarding experience specifically for Z, right? And use that to onboard the experience, where once I think the team members were taken through an experience of the culture of Z, they were they interacted with each other on metaverse. They also got a flavor of the kind of technologies they are going to be working on, right? And they interacted with leaders who were, some were present in our Bangalore office, some in our Mumbai office, etc., right? And it gave an overall experience, and when we took the survey post that, everybody found it very positive, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. So let me ask you this question. Is this technology only for people that you have hired, or is this for prospective employees, students, working professionals who may want to come and work for Z5 as well?
So the technology can be used for any kind of onboarding experience, right? It was built in a generic way. Post that, we wanted to kind of expand it for our other teams also. This was used mainly for the campus freshers for the technology center. But then after that, since the pandemic eased out and we somewhere wanted to kind of provide the real experience, because it was not there for a while, we have kind of parked it. But then it's something maybe we want to kind of revive it. We are looking at reviving it this year.
Absolutely. Lastly, before I leave, I must ask you, can we expect Z5 in Upland anytime soon?
So yeah, I think let me put a word to our marketing teams, right? And we can. I think maybe we'll start exploring, and then we can get there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I think till now we have been focused on exploring the likes of Fortnite, Roblox, etc. And I think after the demo you gave and the introduction you gave, definitely we will explore, and we'll see how we can get Z5 onto Upland.
Absolutely. Well, guys, this is the end of the first interview, first physical interview. I will leave you all with the same saying I always leave you with: you be the arbiter of truth, the viewers of the Metaverse Street Journal. Mr. Kishore, it was a pleasure having you with us. Thank you.
Coming up on the next episode of Reading Between the Lines with Tan the Man.